Hey everyone, welcome to The Point. I'm your host, Ana Kasparian, and we have two awesome returning panelists today. Who are they? Well, we have Hank Chen. You guys know him. He's a comedian and actor who's been on a boatload of things, which he will tell you about later on in the show.
Later.
You guys can check it out. We also have Hannah Cranston. She is the host of Think Tank here on the TYT network. So what are we talking about today? Lots of fun stories, some serious stories as well. How can you film police officers and make sure that the right people get their hands on that footage? Also, what happens when a woman has not one, but two vaginas? What do you think about Sofia Vergara's current battle over embryos? And a Tesla battery that could save you a lot of money if you're growing marijuana in your home. We'll give you the details on that and more. But let's get started with the first topic on the show today, two vaginas. YouTube is a place where people love to share a lot of information about their personal lives, sometimes a little too much information. Well, Cassandra Bankson, who is a pretty big YouTuber, she's using the handle Diamonds and Heels 14, likes to talk to people about what they can do about their acne and other things involving their health or their looks. But recently, she opened up about something that I think most people would be really shy to open up about. She apparently has two vaginas, okay? She went to the doctor, she realized that she's been having some issues. In fact, she has periods that last over 20 days straight, and sometimes she'll get two periods in 1 month. So when she visited her doctor, she realized that she has one kidney, two cervixes, two wombs, and also two vaginas. Now, she explains this in greater detail in a video she posted on YouTube, so we'll give you a little snippet of that. Take a look.
Go back to the doctor a couple of days later, and she takes a look at everything. She goes, aha! And I was like, what is it? She's like, you do have one kidney. My jaw like drops. I'm like, WTF is this? She's like, you have a duplex or partial duplex on one side. You have no kidney on the other side. And as I suspected, you have two vaginas. And I look at her, I'm like, what? Like, you just pulled this out of your butt. Where did this come from? WTF? But that's kind of how I found out. And then I realized, holy crap. This explains my 21-day periods. This explains my unruly mood swings. This explains everything in life, right? What can I say? I'm twice the woman. I saw that.
So this is, she seems really upbeat about this, although there are some ramifications to having two vaginas. First of all, I think the most serious ramification is that you can get pregnant twice at the same time, right, which sounds like a nightmare. What if you get pregnant in both areas with twins, and then all of a sudden you have 4 kids at once? I mean, that's the point I'd like to make. This is disastrous. But she seems happy about it, so that's cool. Another difficulty could be infertility, so it really depends on how the cards play out for her. But I do commend her for coming out and talking about something so personal on YouTube, especially considering some of the hideous comments that people leave on these videos. Hannah, what do you think? Make your point.
No, I completely agree with you. I think it's great that she has the courage to talk about this online, especially she talks about a lot of things that are kind of bringing her down, like acne and obviously this illness, and I think it's great that she is so positive about it. But as soon as she said that she had 21, I was like, hell no.
Yeah.
21 days of cramps and...
It's just not a good situation. I mean, she has to be like one of the happiest people on the planet because she sees the positive in everything.
Right.
Hank, what do you think? Make your point.
Yeah, well, also, as someone who used to YouTube a lot, maybe she was crying in between takes, because that happened. Because
Yes.
we edit around, an hour-long take down to a 4-minute video, so you never know what goes on in between. But like, based off of her like symptoms, she's like, oh, moody, acne, cramps, menstrual. I was like, do I have two vaginas? I was like, I think. I have to go to my doctor and double check.
Oh my God, my mood swings the week leading up to that time, they're so intense. I mean, every single time I go through that, I'm almost certain that my boyfriend's gonna break up with me.
Oh my God.
It's that bad. So I feel terrible for her, but I love the fact that she's sharing this because I'm sure she's not the only one who's going through something like this. All right, so here's a personal question. What body part wouldn't you mind having two of, Hannah?
Okay, this is real, and I'm gonna be honest about it. I wouldn't mind having like 2 breasts. Like I have them, but I wouldn't mind like having like a full 2 breasts.
Okay, so you would just want the breasts that you currently have to be bigger.
Just a lot more.
A lot more. What size are we talking about?
Just a B. I just want a full B. Is that much to ask for?
That's not too much to ask for. I thought you were going to say, like, oh, I want double G's. Like, that's usually what people do when they go get breast implants. But okay, fair enough. I like that answer. Hank, what about you?
She just wants to stop getting carded at the movie theater. That's right, Hannah? No, I feel like sometimes I don't have enough time in the day, not enough hours. I was like, it would be nice to have two heads, right? So like one can sleep while the other one is working, and so I can get on a 24/7 cycle. Don't you feel like sometimes sleep gets in the way of your productivity? I'm like, what would that be like if I had, you know, like that Muppet on Sesame Street that had like two heads? I was like, wow, they must get a lot done.
They must get a lot done.
Right?
Two heads are better than one.
Probably, literally, yeah.
My line of thinking agrees more with Hannah, except instead of the boobs, I'd go with the butt, right? I would like a fuller behind. And anyone who tells you that squats make your butt bigger are lying to you. Okay, they are complete liars. It doesn't make your butt bigger, especially if you're genetically predisposed to having a small ass. Anyway, tell us what you guys think. What would you like to have two of? What body part? And also, what do you make of this story involving a woman who's sharing something really, really personal on YouTube? Would you feel comfortable sharing information like that? Comment in the section below, and we'll see you guys soon. Sofia Vergara is in a happy relationship. In fact, she has a new fiance, even though she went through a pretty bitter breakup last May. Now, the breakup is obviously bitter because her ex, Nick Loeb, the gentleman pictured there, wants to utilize the embryos they created when they were still together. Now, he really wanted to have children, and she agreed to having children as long as it was through a surrogate. I'm not sure why they chose a surrogate, but they did go in that direction. So they created embryos, two of which did not take, and so the surrogate was unable to get pregnant through those embryos. But there were two other embryos that are still frozen in a clinic somewhere. So Nick Loeb is saying that he wants to use those embryos, even though Sofia Vergara has not agreed to do so. According to paperwork, he is not allowed to use the embryos unless she consents to it, and she does not consent. He wrote this long op-ed about it in the New York Times, and Sofia Vergara has responded to it, and she basically says, look, you signed paperwork. It indicates that you cannot use those embryos unless I consent, so as a result, fuck off. Now, she said it in a much more eloquent way, but that's what's basically going on with poor Sofia Vergara right now and her ex-fiance. So I want to know what you guys think about this. Hank, make your point.
Oh, man. Well, you know, I heard, at first, you want to be on Sofia's side because she's the more visible, more likable personality. But I heard a very good argument for the other side, which is, you know, don't hate on me, ladies. I'm in a feminist sandwich right now. But women are allowed to give birth without the man's consent. Why can't it be the other way around? Right? Why couldn't Nick Loeb, even if the mother chooses to not be involved, why couldn't he choose to be a single parent and raise this kid on his own? I think that's a very good argument.
I think it's actually a lackluster, terrible argument.
Really?
And the reason why I say that is because the reason why a woman gets to make that decision when she gets pregnant is because it's her body. Now, if he had the ability to get pregnant,
to carry the child,
that's different. But I don't think people really understand how grueling a pregnancy is. And so if a woman is pregnant and she decides, you know what, I can't go through with this right now, it's her body, she gets to make that decision. And that embryo is not viable outside the womb. At that point, it's literally a zygote. So that's the reason why I don't agree with so-called pro-life individuals who say, oh, it's a life and it should be brought to term. It's not a life because it's not viable outside the womb. But again, if men had the ability to get pregnant, I think that would change things a little bit. That's at least my argument against what they claim. Hannah, what do you think?
No, I think this situation brings up a lot of interesting arguments, you know, whether it be religious or moral or ethical. What it doesn't talk about, the debate isn't about, is whether it's okay to bring a child up in, I guess, a home where both parents don't want it. Do you know what I mean? And it's not like it's a secret that Sofia doesn't want this baby. It is out there in the press. So that child's going to come into this world knowing one of its parents doesn't want it. And I'm sure you could ask any child who feels like maybe his or her parent doesn't want them about the implications that has on them and the rest of their life, and I'm sure it is extremely, extremely negative. And so why would you want to bring that? Why would you want to bring that on to somebody?
Yes. Now you make a really good point. I want to read a little bit from Nick Loeb and Sofia Vergara so you get, you know, their arguments. Nick Loeb says, I asked her to let me have the embryos, offering to pay for all the expenses to carry our girls to term and raise them. If she did not wish to share custody, I would take on full parenting responsibilities and agree to have her declared an egg donor. I'm sure that she would love that, to know that she has daughters out there and they refer to her as an egg donor. Anyway, she has refused. Her lawyer has told reporters that she wants to keep the embryos frozen indefinitely. In my view, keeping them frozen forever is tantamount to killing them. And Sofia Vergara said the following: a child needs a mother and a loving relationship with parents who don't hate each other. Damn. I don't hate him, but obviously he has a problem. A kid needs parents. I wouldn't want to bring kids to the world where it's already set against them. It would be so selfish. All right, so here's the personal question related to this story. What lengths would you go to have children? Hannah.
I really want kids someday. Not right now. Not right now. But I definitely really want kids someday, and I would adopt, I would inseminate, I would steal them. I think, like, watch your kids, like, watch your wife was actually written about me, so.
Oh, wow. You really want to be a mother one day.
I want to be a mom so bad.
Do not get in her way.
Oh, Jesus. All right, Hank, what about you?
I want kids too, but to Hannah's point earlier, I want to bring kids into an environment where they know that they are fully supported and fully loved.
Yes.
Now, ideally, I wouldn't want to raise them by myself, but if I were raising them with a partner, it's got to be a full-on partnership. And I don't think, tying it back to this story, that this is an ideal environment to bring them up in. Now, if Nick truly cared about the children, it was like, oh, I want these 2 little embryos with pigtails and jump ropes to come to full term. Maybe we can give them anonymously to a parent where they would never know that Sofia Vergara was their mother. Maybe then we have a conversation. But he clearly wants to use them as a pawn to keep it visible. So for me, I would not want this situation for myself.
All right, good point. I would not go too far to have kids. So we discussed this on the point before. It was an awkward conversation because my boyfriend was on the panel. I don't even really know yet whether or not I want to have kids. So I don't think that I would go so far as to spend tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars to have a child. I think that if I really wanted to be a parent and I was having a difficult time conceiving, I would adopt. But even that, I'm unsure about. I'm very unsure, okay? Which is great considering I'm pushing 30.
Wait till you're sure. Wait till you're sure.
Yeah, exactly. All right, guys. Well, tell us what you would do. How far would you go to have children? And also, I'm sure, considering our large male audience, a lot of you disagree with me on what Nick Loeb should be allowed to do. I do want to hear your arguments, so comment in the section below, and we'll see you guys soon. Cases involving police brutality are dominating the headlines, and they have been doing so for the past few months. Now, a lot of cops are unhappy about the fact that people can easily record them on their smartphones and then basically make these videos viral. Well, cops are fighting back. A lot of them are either trying to push for legislation that would ban people from filming them, or what they do is simply take someone's smartphone, even though it's illegal to do so, and they either erase the footage or they'll destroy the phone. Well, the ACLU has come up with a solution to this issue. They have created the Mobile Justice app, or Mobile Justice California. The app allows you to upload footage directly to their website in case of confiscation or destruction of the device. Their website has an advertisement including notorious clips of police brutality, stories that we've talked about quite a bit on the Young Turks, actually. Let's take a look at their ad.
Keep your hands where I can see him! Stop recording! No, take recording! Stop move! I said stop recording! Take recording! I said stop!
Really great ad. Yeah. Now, again, as long as you're in a public place, you are allowed to film police officials. So don't let anyone tell you you're not allowed to do it. And a police officer cannot go through your smartphone without a warrant. So make sure you know your rights. There are other apps that do something similar. For instance, there's Hands Up for Justice. This app allows you to download to YouTube or Dropbox, and it can be purchased at the iTunes store. So Duncan Kirkwood created the app for people of color to feel less intimidated by police officials. I think that this is all a really great idea. Remember that cops are not private employees. They are funded through our money, through our taxpayer money. And as a result, we should be able to hold them accountable. No cop should have the ability to erase any footage And we shouldn't even have to rely on these solutions in order to make sure that this footage gets out to the public. But nonetheless, we do have this issue, and I'm glad that there are people out there that are trying to mitigate the consequences of unruly police officers. Hannah, what do you think? Make your point.
No, I completely agree with you, and I think it's a really great thing that the police brutality that is happening in our country is coming to light with our technological climate, and I think it's great that it's forcing us to kind of rethink our justice system. My only concern is, and I make this point a lot on Think Tank, is that I think it's a little skewed. I think there are a lot of positive that police officers kind of bring to our community, and I'm hoping that apps like this will also bring that to light, because I do think it's a little skewed.
Fascinating. Okay. Hank, what do you think?
Well, given the amount of money that I pay all of the cops every year just on parking tickets alone, I expect to hold all of them accountable.
I love
Not
it.
just for people of dark color, for people of all kinds of colors. So I've never really had an issue or run-in with the police, but given how topical the situation is, I feel like something like this is unfortunately probably very necessary. And on the back end, I'm thinking on the business side, I'm like, someone must be making a fortune off of the sale of this app, you know.
Well, with the ACLU, it's a nonprofit organization. They're not looking to make money. I don't know about the other apps. I know that you have to buy the other apps. But I do like knowing that the ACLU is always on top of it when it comes to protecting our constitutional rights. I feel like if it wasn't for the ACLU, we would be in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
All right, so here's the personal question. If you were arrested, who's the first person you call, Hannah?
My mommy.
You call your
Totally
mom?
my mommy. Yeah, she's such a great support for me, but she's also like a badass. Like she will curse, she will stomp in there, she'll break down the bars. Like I have no fear that my mom would get me out of there as soon as possible.
Fascinating. Hank, what about you?
I'm calling Ana Kasparian and Hannah. They're coming down with the film crew. They're doing a behind-the-scenes TYT documentary. We're talking about it with Jank the next morning. We're gonna get as much publicity as possible. We're gonna hashtag this shit. We're gonna get it trending.
We are here at California State Prison, where Hank Chin has been unlawfully arrested for. What would you get arrested for?
Prostitution.
Prostitution.
Here we go.
Hashtag free Hank.
This is how they would handcuff me. We're going old school, above the head, right?
Looks great.
Yeah.
I would not call my mom. My mom loves to worry about things, and when she doesn't even have anything to worry about. So if I was arrested, she would be a wreck, right? So I try to hide it from her. I try to hide it from my dad, who just wouldn't even understand. He'd probably, what? Where are you? I would call my boyfriend. He'd be the first person I'd call, and I don't know if he'd be able to do anything. That would be my first.
He make you feel okay.
He'd make me feel okay.
Yeah.
Well, who would you guys call if you got arrested? Maybe you already have gotten arrested.
My goodness.
You should share that story down there in the comment section. We do want to hear from you, and we'll see you soon. What do you do if you are growing marijuana at home, but your electric bill is freaking expensive? Well, it turns out that Tesla might have a solution for you. Now, they didn't create the solution for marijuana growers alone, but it would be really useful for marijuana growers. It's the Tesla battery, a sleek new invention that could save thousands of dollars a year on your electric bill. It is the first product that they've created called Powerwall Home Battery. It's rechargeable, and it's a lithium-ion battery that can be fixed to a wall. The battery is a little pricey, it's $3,500, but it could save you a lot of money. So let me give you an example. A medium-sized commercial weed grow with around 50 lights stands to save about $13,500 in electricity costs a year with the use of 2 of these batteries, okay? And remember, this is rechargeable, so you can use it year after year after year, and you can keep saving money. And let's say you are not interested in growing marijuana at home. You can actually use it as a backup source of power should anything happen. So if you're in California and there's a big earthquake and all of a sudden the power grid is knocked down, you'd be able to use this for power for a significant period of time. Gizmodo reports one growing operation with 8 to 10 grow lights that run 16 to 20 hours a day in his garage has the electricity bill of about $2,100. That's a lot of money. Anyway, I do want to know what you guys think about this. Hank, make your point.
I wonder why the Marijuana Growers Association is bringing light to this savings, because I enjoy a joint or two, but I feel like there's a major. Can you imagine Motel 6s? You know how HBO is an incentive. They're now all rooms have HBO. What if they were well, all Red Roof Inns now have our beds powered by Tesla? I feel like that's an interesting selling point. I think that Tesla has a branding has brand deals that can extend way beyond what they're going for
Yeah,
here.
I agree with you. I think they're trying to show the power of the battery, because if it's a battery that can power a grow operation, it shows you how reliable it can be and how cost effective it can be. So, but I do see your point, definitely.
Yeah.
Hannah, make your point.
So I'm from LA, so I like to save energy, but I'm also Jewish, so I like to save money. And so I think anything that kind of puts those two together, I'm happy about. But the thing is, I kind of agree with you. Like, the weed thing wasn't my first thought.
Yeah.
My first thought was using this in like third world countries to bring energy when, you know, having somebody, maybe, I know they're expensive, having maybe somebody donating them and supplying them so that they could light, like Nepal. Like, that would have been really helpful. Probably.
Yeah, definitely. I think that the possibilities with this battery are endless, and it's good to know that there is an option out there for people who do want to save energy, who do want a different way of doing things. And Tesla has broken the mold for a lot of different products, especially when it comes to electric vehicles. So big ups to them. I absolutely love that company. Now, name one thing that you are frugal with, Hank.
I am a cheap bastard when it comes to eating out. So I have my nice meals with like my wine pairings and whatever on occasion.
Yeah.
But when I'm getting together socially, I'm the guy, I'm like, can I get water with lemon and like packets of sugar on the side to make my lemonade? I'll go to the Ruby Tuesdays because they have the $9.95 salad bar.
Okay.
Or you can like get it for $2.99 on top of your entree, which can be $7.99. I mean, I'm just really good with all of these things.
Yeah,
I think it's a college diet. I think it's a college diet that sort of passed over to my adult world.
We need to have a talk, because I need to learn your ways. I spend way too much money on food. I would argue that I spend more money on food than anything else.
Than rent or anything?
Oh, definitely more on food than rent. Definitely.
I'm so with you. I spend way more on food than anything else. But when it comes to me being like frugal, it's like clothing. I've worked in the clothing industry, so I know how much they mark it up. So for me, I'm at like all the sample sales. I'm online. I like know when the secret like nighttime sales are.
Okay,
We're shopping with her. We're eating with me.
I need to learn both your ways, apparently. Yeah. I am also really frugal with clothing. I love that you mentioned that. I know that this sounds really, really mean, and it's not meant to be mean, but for all the women out there who spend like literally $4,000 on a Louis Vuitton bag or $12,000 on those red-soled shoes, I judge you.
Red-soled shoes.
I judge you, right? Like, have you paid off your car?
Manolos,
like,
right?
get your shit
Louis
together.
Vuitton.
No,
Louis Vuitton.
My bad.
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't even know. Right?
Like, it's your money. You get to do whatever you want to do with it. But I think it's so unbearable when people are not like fabulously wealthy and they're spending their thousands of dollars on a pair of shoes. Really? So that's what I'm frugal with. I literally have one handbag that was handed down to me by my ex-boyfriend's mother. I shouldn't be using that anymore. It's like falling apart. But that's the one handbag I have, and I'm totally fine with it. Anyway, what are you frugal with? Comment in the section below. We want to know. And also, am I being too judgmental? I always love an opportunity to have you guys criticize me, so go ahead and do it. And then finally, if you had the Tesla battery, I want to know what you would do with it, okay? Maybe you don't have a marijuana grow operation, but you have some other really useful way of utilizing this battery. Comment in the section below, and we'll see you guys soon. Hipsters, we all love to talk about them. Let's keep it real. Even if we don't like hipsters, we love to have these long-ass conversations. And they always like to do things that are good for the environment. They talk about buying the free trade chocolate or the coffee and make sure that they're doing things in an ethical way. They love American apparel because the clothes are made here in the United States. But how many slaves does the average hipster employ? Wow, did you ever think about that? An organization known as Made in a Free World did think about that, and they realized that the average hipster employs 27 slaves a day, even though they are doing their best to be as ethical as possible. Now, they raise awareness, Made in a Free World raises awareness on how consumers support illegal slave operations with purchases they make. Now, they concede that it's nearly impossible to make 100% ethical purchases, considering all the outsourcing our companies have done and considering how much cheap labor our companies rely on. They say the average hipster does employ 27 slaves a day through their purchasing power. There's an estimated 35 million slaves in the world. That's according to the Walk Free Foundation. And that includes child soldiers, people forced into prostitution, child brides. Being smart and ethical about your purchases is very, very difficult. Now, let me give you a statement from the organization. Here's what they had to say. This person who values independent thinking, progressive politics, art, music, creativity, intelligence, and tight-fitting jeans is unknowingly wearing and using products that are creating abusive environments for people globally. But admittedly, it's tough to buy ethical because so many of the brands we grow to know love and trust simply don't uphold standards that align with our personal ethos. Now, how can hipsters free the slaves? That was something that they also touched on. Let's take a quick look at the photo. It shows the difference between knowing where you buy your items and not knowing where they come from. If hipsters purchase made in a free world companies, they invest in supply chains that protect against forced and child labor. This preferred purchasing trickles down to disrupt illicit markets deep in the supply chain. So this is all very complicated, and for anyone who thinks that they're buying things ethically, consider the fact that you are likely to have a smartphone that was made in China in very unsafe working conditions. So we're all guilty of this. It's not just hipsters. I think that the organization just wanted to make a point saying that regardless of how aware you are, whether you like it or not, you are employing slaves. Hannah, what do you think about this? Make your point.
No, I completely agree with you. I think it's really easy to pick on hipsters because they got the beard and the beanie and their natural deodorant. Like, it's really easy for us to pick on them.
Yeah.
But if these are people who are already conscious about how they're purchasing their products and wanting to be sustainable and ethical, and they're employing 27 slaves, what this should make us think of, okay, those of us who aren't, wearing or American Apparel or whatever, how many slaves are we employing?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the bigger issue here, is all these unethical business practices that are going on that we're all supporting, whether we're trying to be as conscious as we can about it. And that to me is like a bigger issue and something that we have to tackle.
That's a great point. Hank, what do you think?
I completely agree with you, because at first when I looked at this, I got a little defensive. I was like, well, that's not really fair. It's kind of like.
Do you consider yourself a hipster?
No. I mean, I have some tendencies. I don't take on the brand. I don't take on the ownership of hipster.
Fabulous outfit you're wearing.
Thank you. Well, I mean, honest, I'm sitting here actually kind of guilty, because I'll be honest with you. This came from kind of a boutique in New York, and it cost quite a bit of money.
But it looks great.
It looks great, but I'm
really
sitting here
great.
being like, God, how many hipsters how many slaves am I employing right now?
Yeah.
And when I thought about this, I thought about the unfairness of like the butterfly effect. If I sit down to have a piece of chicken that's not free range, am I responsible for someone's slave trade? If you buy a diamond that that's unaccounted for, did you just kill 20 kids in Africa? And you can't. You really have to try to do the best that you can with what you know.
Yeah.
But I think kudos to the people who created this chart, because they really are bringing light to a global problem. And for those of us that are fortunate to live in a first world country, we're in a position to be able to alleviate that.
We can definitely vote with our dollars, but sometimes it's a very discouraging thing to do, especially when you consider companies here in the United States that you might love, and then you find out that their CEOs are funding politicians that are unsavory, to say the least. So this is a really complicated issue. This is not meant to pass judgment on anyone. It's just meant to enlighten people about what you can do with your purchasing power. So what is your guilty pleasure? Hipsters might have a guilty pleasure of like free trade coffee, which is delicious, by the way. Okay, but what about you, Hannah? What's your guilty pleasure?
My guilty pleasure is Nutella. I eat so much Nutella. I just sit down with a spoon and I'll finish the entire thing. Like, no, I'm not talking about like the regular ones that you buy at the supermarket. I'm talking about like the Costco size one. I can just go through it. But so I looked into it because I was like, oh my God, how many slaves am I employing? And I was looking at the effects of Nutella, and it's with the cocoa beans deforestation and like displacing orangutans in the forest, and then the hazelnuts are a huge source of child labor.
Yep.
And now I feel really guilty. I mean, my hips will appreciate it, but now I feel really bad about
No more
it.
Nutella for you. What about you, Hank?
Well, I travel a good deal. I fly a lot, and in the past year, I've kind of upgraded all of my luggage, and because it just makes the experience less hellish for me. So I bought a nice Salvatore Ferragamo duffel, which I got on sale with cashback rewards from my Discover card. Did not pay full price at the department store, but it makes me feel good to have that, because traveling is such a miserable industry
Yes,
now.
it is.
And then when I fly, this is kind of my thing too. I always come down to Tivana. Tivana has stuff all over airports, and so I have my Salvatore Ferragamo duffel, then my whatever, because they have
You're so
13.
fucking fabulous.
So
You are so fucking fabulous.
it's what I do to make myself feel just a little better while I'm in this metal tube. That's my guilty pleasure. Yeah.
God, I feel so not fabulous. My guilty pleasure is donuts at midnight. Okay,
Yes.
like I'm laying there,
Yes.
like cuddling with my boyfriend, and I'll just be like, I ate really healthy all day. I deserve a buttermilk donut. And so we walk over to a donut shop right next to our apartment, and we, instead of just getting one donut for each of us, we end up getting 4. It's just disgusting.
For each of you?
There's nothing
Maybe
wrong. Don't
no,
shame her.
No, I'm saying I want one. If you have extras, please bring me one.
Donuts are so
They
good.
are.
They're so good.
But they're like light and fluffy. You
No,
can have
they're
as
not,
many
girl.
as you
I'm
want.
not into the yeast donuts. I'm into the fucking cake donuts.
This is the one with
Okay?
bacon on it, right? Bacon and
no,
like
I don't like
jalapenos?
I
No?
don't do the bacon, but I do like the dense cakey
Yeah,
donuts.
yeah.
Those are the only ones I like.
Yeah.
I don't like the fluffy ones.
Right.
I mean, I'll
The
eat
crispy
them if I
creamy
have
ones,
to. But
Yeah.
anyway, what's your guilty pleasure? Comment in the section below. Let us know. It could be something as fabulous as what Hank bought. It
Cup
could
of
be,
tea? What? Just a cup of tea.
And I love how Hannah and Anna both like fatty foods for their guilty pleasures. Anyway, share your stories below. We love hearing from you guys, and we'll see you soon. Thousands of people are tuning in to one Miami plastic surgeon's Snapchat account to see really gruesome pictures of plastic surgeries. This is amazing. Now, Dr. Michael Salzhauer posts pictures of his surgeries to about 100,000 people a day. There he is with a gorgeous-looking woman who presumably had some work done with him. Anyway, apparently he would post these pictures on Instagram, and Instagram, although I love that app more than any other app, is very, very strict when it comes to images. No nudity, no gruesome photos. You guys get the picture. And so he got frustrated and turned to Snapchat. In fact, he says the following: I was really frustrated. I woke up one morning with 0 followers and was like, what else can I do to show people what we do here? Then his daughter introduced him to Snapchat. He got 2,000 followers on the first day.
Damn.
And it's actually been a really good marketing tool for him because people, before you go to the next picture, let me just warn the audience that the pictures we're about to show you are very, very graphic, okay? Now you can go ahead and pause the pictures. So he posts these pictures on Snapchat, and believe it or not, it's helped his business significantly. He has increased in appointments from 20 per day to 100 per day, which oh my God. Okay, enough of that. So, but do you really need a bigger ass? Do you really need a bigger ass?
Anna, didn't you just say earlier that you
I know,
wanted a
but
bigger
like-
ass?
Would you go under that? Would you go under the knife to get a bigger ass?
No, I wouldn't. I would not go under the knife to get a
Did
bigger
you see that
ass.
tube
I
that
don't
said body cheese? There was a tube in the
Yes,
middle that said body
yes.
cheese.
What is
that?
body cheese?
I don't know, but here's the
like
thing.
cheese.
I don't want to go to a plastic surgeon that has 100 appointments a day. I want to go to a plastic surgeon that has like 2 appointments a day, and I want to be the first one. You see
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it's fascinating that this has become a good marketing tool for him. Anyway, I do want to know what you guys think. Hank, make your point.
I wish you were still on Instagram because I'm not on Snapchat. Honestly,
Uh-huh.
I think this is fascinating. I'm weird like that. When I was a kid, I used to always love watching the surgeries on like Discovery, and I was into that show Nip Tuck that was on
Yeah,
FX.
me too.
Even though I've never had any work done myself, and I don't foresee myself except maybe like bags under the eyes, whatever the guy surgeries are, I'm like, this is really cool, because to me, I think the body is art, and I think depending on what you can do to it, I just think it's kind of amazing what humans are capable of, barring the extreme surgeries and what
Yeah.
some might consider to be mutilation. But yeah, man, if you got an ironclad waiver signed, more power to you.
Hannah, what do you think?
I mean, first of all, I'm just jealous that he got 2,000 followers on the first day.
Right,
I can't do that. I need to start posting pictures of body cheese or whatever that is. But the other part of me is like, I guess it's great that he's being this business savvy. I like that he's being transparent about something, I guess that's elective surgery is something that we don't really talk about as much, as transparent as like we'll show brain surgeries online, but we won't show this. And I think that's important. And as many clients as he's getting, he's probably scaring off quite a few, which is also good because people are, I guess, seeing the more honest approach to what he's doing.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, right before I've had plastic surgery, I've talked about this on the show. I've had my nose done. And I like being as transparent about that as possible. And I purposely went out of my way to avoid seeing images of what the surgery looks like because it would have deterred me. And I'm glad that I didn't do that because I'm really happy with the results and that it's just what I needed to do. But I do like the transparency, so people who genuinely want to know, they'll have the opportunity to look at those images. All right, so what is your favorite personal attribute or physical attribute, I should say? Hannah?
Is this really lame if I say my heart? It's just well, okay. Let me explain. Because I like to work out and I like to run like really far distances. Like we've talked about this,
Yeah.
and so my heart can establish that. And then I guess like more superficial. I really like my clavicles. I know they're a little burnt right now because they spent some time, but they like stick out a little bit. Is that
I've
weird?
never heard anyone say that they love their clavicle. Okay.
Sorry.
Is it called décolletage, whatever it is?
I think you're right.
how
I
it
think
is?
that I don't
Whatever-
something like
Stop
that.
being fabulous.
The-
Okay, I don't know what that is.
Yours is
Near
very
my,
nice.
I just like where my neck meets my chest.
Okay.
All right, good girl. I like
Thank
that. Something a
you.
little unique.
Thank you.
Unique. Or what about you, Hank?
Well, if I were to be really honest, I think I've had my lips complimented before.
You have great
have
lips.
Well, pucker. So I feel like, we'll keep it as long as we can. And, I wouldn't want to do anything to alter it, but, like Ally McBeal is my spirit angel because Calista Flockhart on that show was always messing with her lips. I was like, oh, she must really like hers too.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so are we only allowed to choose one?
Get two. You're the host. Get two.
No, I don't get to. My legs. That is like the only physical attribute where I'm like, I got it on lockdown.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it's the legs are fine.
I told you last night I was talking with somebody about your legs, like for 20 minutes.
And the legs are the last to go too, on everybody.
I know.
Yeah.
And it's I can't emphasize enough how much genetics play a role in your body type because my mom had really nice legs. She didn't work out ever, okay, and she had nice legs. So I know that's the reason why they're there. And then with the workouts, it just kind of keeps them together. But like I would never have abs if my life depended on it, right? Maybe I need to stop eating donuts at midnight, but whatever, you get what I mean. Anyway, share your favorite physical attribute in the comments section below. I want to know what you guys like. It could be your lips, could be your clavicle, could be your ass, could be your legs. Who knows? Comment, let us know. We want to hear from you, and we'll see you soon. Japanese game shows are known for being a little unsavory, okay? Very, very explicit, lots of sexual content. And the latest show that's making headlines is no exception. It involves women spreading their legs. I don't even really know what to say about this other than it is what it is and it's unfortunate. The game show involves 20 Japanese girls dressed in costumes. They spin a wheel and a contraption that they sit in, it kind of looks like the thigh master thing at the gym, spreads their legs open. The wheel is spun and depending on where it lands, the contraption is cranked open while they sit. The girls look like they're having a good time. If you don't believe me, take a look at the video.
次行きましょうか。次とどめさそうか。ぼちぼちじゃないか。私に限界はない。笑顔お願いしますよ。
Jeez, yoga must be big in Japan. Those girls are flexible. It's fascinating to see something like this because this isn't the only game show that has like sexually explicit content. For instance, there is a game show in Japan right now where a guy is trying to sing karaoke and then he's like kind of behind like a sensor type of thing and a female contestant is masturbating him as he's singing, and the whole point is that he has to sing on key throughout the entire thing in order to win while this girl is, doing the thing that she's doing.
Jerking him off.
Jerking him off, right? Leading him to completion. So, but even though there are all these like sexually explicit game shows, the population in Japan right now is aging rapidly because young people are refusing to get married. They're refusing to have sex. They're refusing to procreate. And even though you have like this, explicit type of culture, internally there are some issues with people having sex. So interesting. Hank, make your point.
Asians are so weird. They're just so weird. And that is too how I look like when I'm spreading my legs. Totally identify. But this is I think you illuminated a little bit as to the issue here. I think for them, this is their outlet because they're so disconnected in their day-to-day lives sexually. Like, I mean, you read about how they have their like inflatable doll girlfriends and how prostitution is rampant there, and yet this is not a population that's procreating.
They're not
very, very conservative is probably the most accurate term. And I would say from growing up in an Asian household, my parents were very, there just wasn't that kind of open sexuality that all of you white people have. So,
I grew up in an Armenian household. There was no open sexuality.
Yeah.
In fact, like in my household, it was like you don't get sex until marriage. I mean, that was the only thing that I heard when I was growing up. Anyway, Hannah, what about you?
No, I mean, you got to credit them for their creativity with their game shows. I'll give them credit for that. And so I don't know what's happening here. I don't know what it's about. I can only assume with those stirrups that it's an educational video about the gynecologist to make it more approachable. So get checked, get your pap smear. I think that's kind of the conclusion from this game show.
Yeah, good point. All right, so here is the personal question for the story. What is the ultimate prize? A dream car, a dream vacation, or $100,000? So which would you prefer, Hank?
I could spread, no pun intended, the $100,000 a lot more. I could use that to buy a dream car that doesn't have to be a high-end luxury car, and I can use that to, I can stretch it out more. All these bad puns.
Love it. Hannah, what about you?
Okay, so I thought about this for a really long time. And I am gonna go with the dream car because I'm gonna buy a very luxury dream car that's gonna go up in value. Then I'm gonna sell it and spend it on the dream vacation and having more money.
Wait, what car doesn't depreciate?
A lot of cars, like if they're like vintage cars or something like that, or if they only make so many. I thought about this. There's no limit on my dream car.
All right, I didn't know that Hannah was a car person. That's smart. I would take the $100,000 and I would not spend it. I would just put it in a savings account. I'd put it in like a CD and I would leave it there for like 10 years and then it would just accumulate interest and then maybe one day I'll need it and I'll take it out. That's what I would
use it to buy a house or to buy?
Yeah, I really want, at some point in the next 2 years, I really want to own like a townhouse or a condo. But that's what I want. Is it likely to happen? No, because home prices in LA are insane. But yeah, I'm too responsible with money. I feel like I wouldn't do anything fun with it. Yeah. I'm boring. Anyway, tell us what you guys would do. Would you take the $100,000, the dream car, dream vacation? We want to hear from you. And if you would take the vacation, where would you vacation to? I'm always really curious to see where people want to travel because I want some ideas. So let us know, share your stories, and we'll see you guys soon. All right, guys, that does it for today's show. Lots of really cool topics. I want to give our panelists an opportunity to share more about themselves and what they do, where you can find them. So, Hank, you work on so many things. That's why I didn't listen in the beginning of the show. So go ahead. Now you do it.
I'm on a handful of things that are streaming online, including Transparent. Also, I'm recurring on Community, which is on Yahoo. Transparent now has some, I just read today, has some deal with JetBlue where you can, if you have Amazon Prime, you can watch it while you're flying. So that's really cool.
Nice.
And then I'll be, later this fall, I'll be in upcoming episodes of Baby Daddy on ABC Family and Rizzoli and Isles, which is on USA.
That's so badass.
Oh my God, it's TNT. Oh my God, it's not USA, it's TNT. There you go.
It's okay. We all make that mistake. Hannah,
I just realized we have HC squared panel because HC.
Hey!
You can find me on Think Tank every day of the week at youtube.com/thinktank and on Twitter at Hannah Cranston _ and on Instagram run_HMC.
Awesome. I'm Ana Kasparian. You guys can check me out on the Young Turks Monday through Friday from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Believe it or not, we stream a 2-hour show, so you guys should check that out. And if you can't, just check out the clips that we put up on the YouTube page. Check me out on Twitter at Ana Kasparian and Instagram Ana Kasparian TYT. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the show this week. We'll see you next week with another episode. And remember, never be afraid to make your point. place where people love to share a lot of information about their personal lives, sometimes a little too much information. Well, Cassandra Bankson, who is a pretty big YouTuber, she's using the handle Diamonds and Heels 14, likes to talk to people about what they can do about their acne and other things involving their health or their looks. But recently she opened up about something that I think most people would be really shy to open up about. She apparently has 2 vaginas, okay? She went to the doctor, she realized that she's been having some issues. In fact, she has periods that last over 20 days straight, and sometimes she'll get 2 periods in 1 month. So when she visited her doctor, she realized that she has 1 kidney, 2 cervixes, 2 wombs, and also 2 vaginas. Now, she explains this in greater detail in a video she posted on YouTube, so I'll give you a little snippet of that. Take a look.
Go back to the doctor a couple of days later, and she takes a look at everything. She goes, aha! And I was like, what is it? She's like, you do have 1 kidney. My jaw like drops. I'm like, WTF is this? She's like, you have a duplex or partial duplex on one side. You have no kidney on the other side. And as I suspected, you have 2 vaginas. And I look at her, I'm like, what? Like, you just pulled this out of your butt. Where did this come from? WTF? But that's kind of how I found out. And then I realized, holy crap. This explains my 21-day periods. This explains my unruly mood swings. This explains everything in life, right? What can I say? I'm twice the woman. I saw that.
So this is, she seems really upbeat about this, although there are some ramifications to having 2 vaginas. First of all, I think the most serious ramification is that you can get pregnant twice at the same time, which sounds like a nightmare. What if you get pregnant in both areas with twins, and then all of a sudden you have 4 kids at once? I mean, that's the point I'd like to make. This is disastrous. But she seems happy about it, so that's cool. Another difficulty could be infertility, so it really depends on how the cards play out for her. But I do commend her for coming out and talking about something so personal on YouTube, especially considering some of the hideous comments that people leave on these videos. Hannah, what do you think? Make your point.
No, I completely agree with you. I think it's great that she has the courage to talk about this online, especially she talks about a lot of things that are kind of bringing her down, like acne and obviously this illness, and I think it's great that she is so positive about it. But as soon as she said that she had 21, I was like, hell no.
Yeah.
21 days of cramps and
It's just not a good situation. I mean, she has to be like one of the happiest people on the planet because she sees the positive in everything.
Right.
Hank, what do you think? Make your point.
Yeah, well, also, as someone who used to YouTube a lot, maybe she was crying in between takes, because that happened. Because we edit around, an hour-long take down to a 4-minute video, so you never know what goes on in between. But like, based off of her like symptoms, she's like, oh, moody, acne, cramps, menstrual. I was like, do I have 2 vaginas? I was like, I have to go to my doctor and double check.
Oh my God, my mood swings the week leading up to that time, they're so intense. I mean, every single time I go through that, I'm almost certain that my boyfriend's gonna break up with me.
Oh my God.
It's that bad. So I feel terrible for her, but I love the fact that she's sharing this because I'm sure she's not the only one who's going through something like this. All right, so here's a personal question. What body part wouldn't you mind having 2 of? Hey everyone, welcome to The Point. I'm your host, Ana Kasparian, and we have 2 awesome returning panelists today. Who are they? Well, we have Hank Chen. You guys know him. He's a comedian and actor who's been on a boatload of things, which he will tell you about later on in the show.
Later.
You guys can check it out. We also have Ana Kasparian. She is the host of Think Tank here on the TYT network. So what are we talking about today? Lots of fun stories, some serious stories as well. How can you film police officers and make sure that the right people get their hands on that footage? Also, what happens when a woman has not 1, but 2 vaginas? What do you think about Sofia Vergara's current battle over embryos? And a Tesla battery that could save you a lot of money if you're growing marijuana in your home. We'll give you the details on that and more. But let's get started with the first topic on the show today, 2 vaginas. YouTube is a